Imagine living your entire life only to find out it was all a lie. This is a true story. And the ending. You won't see it coming. Graham Hornigold is a British professional chef and Michelin star pastry expert. He is married to Heather, who also works in the same field, and they lived a stable life. However, Graham carried a deep emotional wound from childhood. He never knew his mother. He was taken away from her at the age of 2 and raised by an abusive father. Throughout his life, he felt a strong emotional void and constantly searched for his mother. He had only limited information from his birth certificate, including a possible name, Hatun Hornigold or Hatun Mahmoud. Despite having a successful career and family life, the emotional gap remained. In 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, he and his wife resumed the search online. Initial attempts failed and led to no results. Then Graham received a shocking email from a woman claiming to be his mother. The woman, named Dion, said she had been searching for him for decades. She provided extremely accurate personal details, including his exact birth date and birth records. This convinced Graham that she might truly be his mother. He began communicating with her by email and phone. She claimed she lived in the UK and invited him to meet her in Liverpool. At their first meeting, she appeared as an elderly woman in her 80s. Graham felt immediate emotional attachment and hugged her. Even his wife noticed a strange emotional resemblance between them. Dion acted like a loving mother who had been separated for decades. She claimed Graham was taken from her by force by his military father. Soon after, she revealed that she was terminally ill with cancer. She said doctors gave her only around 6 months to live.
I got little time, just want to smile with you, that's all. I love you very much and I always will. I'm so happy to see you. I do all my power to keep you.
This made Graham emotionally dependent on her and deeply attached. He began spending almost all his time with her. Later, she presented herself as a wealthy businesswoman. She claimed to own farms and companies across Asia. She said she had major investments in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. She frequently received calls from supposed employees around the world. This reinforced the image that she was extremely wealthy and powerful. She also claimed to be the illegitimate daughter of the royal family of Brunei. She said she had access to a massive frozen fortune in Swiss banks. She promised Graham that he would inherit everything after her death. She began spending large amounts of money on luxury hotels and gifts. She bought him and his wife luxury cars and paid for expensive lifestyles. Eventually, she insisted they travel to Switzerland to finalize inheritance documents. She claimed lawyers and banks were waiting for signatures in Zurich. Graham agreed, despite concerns about his newborn child. They traveled together to Switzerland. In Zurich, they stayed in luxury hotels and continued a lavish lifestyle. However, no official documents were ever signed. She continuously delayed the process, claiming complications. Meanwhile, she began asking Graham for money, saying her accounts were frozen due to COVID-19.
I'm gonna write down how much I take from you, then give that money to you. It won't happen again. I borrow money from you because you're my blood. I love you dearly.
She started paying her bills, thinking it was temporary. She increased emotional pressure, convincing him to stay with her instead of returning to his wife and child. Graham became torn between his family and his dying mother. His wife began to suspect something was wrong, but Graham remained convinced she was his real mother. In Switzerland, Graham met his friend Johan, who became suspicious. Johan noticed strange behavior and inconsistencies in her story. She knew too many people and had access to luxury networks too easily. Gradually, doubts began to rise. Graham also encountered other people she had approached. She had promised millions in investments to multiple individuals, but she always required money up front before anything happened. Then she delayed or disappeared from obligations. It became clear she was running a repeated scam pattern. She used money from one victim to convince another. She built a fake image of extreme wealth to manipulate people. Graham's wife investigated further and discovered large withdrawals from their joint accounts. The total reached hundreds of thousands of dollars. She also found debts linked to luxury cars and expenses. This led to serious conflict in their marriage. Graham's friend confronted him directly and warned him. But Graham refused to believe the accusations at first. Eventually, a DNA test was conducted to confirm identity. The result shocked everyone. She was indeed his biological mother. This completely changed the situation emotionally and logically. However, despite being his mother, she had a long criminal history. She was a professional con artist with decades of fraud experience. She used multiple identities throughout her life. She had been arrested in the past for theft and fraud. It became clear she was simultaneously scamming multiple people, including investors, business owners, and wealthy individuals in Europe and Asia. She created a cycle of fake investments and financial manipulation. Graham had lost over $130,000. His marriage collapsed under pressure. Eventually, his wife left with their child. The woman disappeared after being exposed. Later reports suggest she continued similar scams in other countries. The story shows how emotional vulnerability can blind even intelligent people, and how professional scammers exploit psychological weaknesses, especially when they manipulate identity, emotion, and hope. In the end, Graham began rebuilding his life from scratch, but the emotional damage and betrayal stayed with him.